What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Super pumped. I've got a very cool guest with us today. As you know, we are free of labels here, just breaking out of the norm and doing dynamic things. My next guest is an international best-selling author, certified master's sexologist, sex positive podcast host, a contributing writer and educator for various online adult platforms, as well as a lifestyle relationship coach, motivational speaker, and she owns a lifestyle community with more than 20,000 members in a swingers community since 2012. Please welcome Coralyn Jewel. Coralyn, that is quite the laundry stuff that you do.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. Well, you're originally from South Africa, which I asked you right before we got started.
Yes.
You moved here when you were very young.
Yes, I moved here when I was 3 years old. I've been back a couple times. The last time hasn't been for 17 years. So I took my son back when he was 5 months old. So
So do you still have family there?
I do. We still have I think aunts and cousins and stuff. Most of the family immigrated to United States or to Australia, but some stayed.
Oh wow. Okay, very cool. What is it like when you go over there, knowing that you came from there versus being here most of your life?
So, I mean, my childhood memories, I remember going over at the age of 6 and then at the age of 11, where there was still apartheid. And so I remember saying to my parents, I don't understand why can't we go to that park, or why can't they come to this park and stuff like that. I do remember that. And then I remember going back at 13 when apartheid was done, and how you could see, everything, integration with the grocery stores and parks and water fountains and bathrooms and stuff. And I remember being like, this is how it's supposed to be, so even as a child, I remember that. So, it's a great country. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful country. The culture is amazing. I was actually supposed to represent South Africa in the Olympics for figure skating. So that was kind of my goal for when I went back a couple times to meet with them and to talk about that, because they didn't have a pair skating team. So
that's pretty cool. So do you still figure skate?
I still can.
I
don't know if I would say I would, be Olympic material now. I'm older, but I can still skate.
There you go. Well, so that as long as you keep going after your passions, that's what's important.
Absolutely.
So out of the laundry list of things that you do, or, just different titles that you have that you can carry, what came first?
Okay. Probably I wrote a book because of all of it, because it's just how do you end up going from private school, Olympic figure skating hopeful, to everything that I've done. What came first was probably it was modeling, performing. I got a degree. My degree is theatrical production directing, and I got a job as a director and camera operator, but in a pornography company. So I was driving up and down to LA, and that's what got me into modeling, and then webcamming, and then from that led to dancing in a club, which led to the owner of the club asking me if I ever wanted to run a swingers event there. And I didn't really know anything about it. My husband and I had dabbled in it, but I'd never run an event, And so I did that, which led into running a full-blown swingers club. And now here I am, 12 years later with 20,000 members. And that's what got me into wedding planning. So everything's about how, life throws me a curveball and which way do you take it? And, where did you end up? So
sure. Well, I think it's all about just taking different opportunities that come your way.
Exactly.
You never know where you're going to end up. 20,000 members. That's a very large community.
It's a large community. I started it just 2012 with just a mansion that we rented, and we would have parties, and then only there for 8 months, and we ended up having to close that. But by that point, I had built up such a big following. I was like, well, I can't let everybody down. So I started doing hotel takeovers and nightclub events and meet and greets and buyouts, and it's just gone and gone and gone. And of course, we have people come and go, and we have them come, and then they have a profile on my website, and then they leave, and then they come back with somebody else, or they're single or whatever. So, but it's been a journey for sure. And it's given me the opportunity to do different things with the lifestyle, such as coaching and stuff like that. So,
and so now my fiance and I, and my late husband and I, we were, very open, I guess, sexually, just loved it. We had fun. And so I think that there's a lot of misunderstandings around the community. A lot of people they think it's one thing when really it's something different.
Right.
I shared with you, my fiance and I have gone to Trapeze several times. We've gone to some places here in the Chicagoland area, and we've always had a great experience. And it's not anything, I think if I shared it with my girlfriends, like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? And I'm like, it's not really what you think.
Right.
I mean, there's different things that happen at different times based upon, what our energy is and what we're wanting to do. And every time that we've gone, we've left in such a better place than together as a couple.
That's good.
Than when we got there. Not that we were in a bad place, but just meaning closer, more connected, and just more like more as one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and that's like how you say you do your podcast and I do my podcast. It's the same thing, and I do my articles. It's about the misconceptions that people have in regards to either the adult industry or the alternative lifestyle relationships. Because everybody that I meet, if they come to my party, they go, oh my God, you've had sex with everybody here? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's their initiation. That's how they get in, dumbass. No, I'm
no,
like,
not at all.
I haven't had sex with anybody in here because they're my guests, and and same with like, people think that, we ring a bell and we say, okay, it's 11 o'clock. It's time for the big orgy to stop. And I'm like, that's not what this lifestyle is about. There's so many different variations and aspects, voyeurs and exhibitionists and, looking for that illicit unicorn and whatever it may be, that's what I'm trying to do as well as you, is to break the misconceptions and the misunderstanding of what it's all about.
Why do you think there's such a misconception around it?
Society has, absolutely. I mean, it's made it, there's, masturbation is bad. Our children are taught that masturbation is bad. Our children are taught that, they're just taught abstinence the way to go, and I've got, two sons, 17 and 15, 18 and 15. Holy crap. And they're going through the whole, the sex education every single year. And I ask them, as you get older, do they change your courses? Do you learn something different? No, mom, same thing. Just don't have sex, and I say, so did they teach you about like, okay, if you choose to have sex and you do, and you get pregnant, what are your options, or what's birth control, or what, do you learn about the STDs? Do you learn how to prevent them? Do you learn the symptoms? Nothing. Nope. Just don't have sex, and so it's all society and how these, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse if we don't step up and try to change it.
Which is bizarre because now they're promoting, and I love everybody equally. Whatever you choose to do, that's your choice. But for me, if I had a young child, I think it's bizarre now they're introducing and promoting transgender at a young age. But yet we don't want them to have sex, but yet we're going to teach them about all these different crazy types of sexes and he, she, not,
all the pronouns.
Like it's kind of contradictory and very confusing.
It is. I mean, the good thing about it is that, I've interviewed people on my podcast that, when they were growing up, with the gender identity, they didn't have anybody to turn to, and they would, be in the locker room and all the boys were showering and they were thinking, this is not where I belong, or, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And nobody to talk to about that. So I think introducing it and discussing it, it's good. Like, I mean, even my son, he says, mom, they choose to be gay. And I'm like, no, honey, it doesn't work that way, and so I think it's good for them to learn that. But I just think that in general, overall, we are a society, especially America, that doesn't accept like embracing your sexuality and that sex is good for you and it's healthy for you and then you need to be responsible. But, we just make it like everything, nudity is a bad thing and sex is a bad thing. And it just needs to stop already. I think we'd have so much less rape and crime if we legalized everything. Just... It's ridiculous.
Legalize everything. Well, I mean, not
everything, but be a little more open-minded.
I've always been very open sexually, and I think that it is a beautiful thing and it is healthy. Obviously nothing forced, nothing crazy,
right?
Nothing, like just hurtful. But I've always been that way since a young girl, and I probably a little bit more promiscuous, when I was younger, when I started getting into my teenage years than I should be. But that's just something that was very natural for me, and it's still natural for me today. And that's why my fiance and I, we are very open to going to the parties and just having fun. Sometimes voyeur, sometimes we participate, sometimes just by ourselves. We'll let people watch us.
And that's a big thing too, is that it's not like you live the lifestyle or live, the lifestyle is an addition to your relationship, and if you don't go there, like I have people that will come to my events and go, all right, goodbye. And I'm like, dude, you've been here like a minute. Okay, go and drink, and it's like, you have to understand that this is not going to save your marriage. It's come in, have a good time, let what happens, and go with the flow. And if something doesn't happen, so what?
Yeah.
You have a good time, drink, laugh, have a good time with your friends, but I've got somebody coming on my podcast tomorrow. And his story is mind blowing. It's all about how his father raped his sister and his mother raped him, and they were heroin addicts, and she would pass him off to her drug dealers to pay for the drugs.
Oh
It's
my
awful.
God.
It's awful. It's awful. And this guy turned out to be, I don't know how he did it. He lived for 12 years from the age of 12 to 17 in a boys' home in Los Angeles where he was supposed to be safe, was raped by the priest, his counselors, you name it. You're not allowed to leave the campus, but they would take him off at 7 p.m. at night. The counselor would take him off so he could rape him and then bring him back. And here this man has turned out, he's a musician. He saved his life. He's married. He's got kids, a son, an amazing son. And you look at that and you go, I don't even know how you survived. That's a fighter.
That is pretty intense, though.
It's really intense. Yeah.
I mean, may I ask how old he is now?
57.
57. And he's, how long has he started sharing? How long has it been that he's been sharing that story?
I don't know. I know that he wrote a book, and I've started again, same thing. I'm interviewing him tomorrow, and I've not read the 300-page book. I'm on page 50. I can't. I just don't have the time. I mean, I'm literally up to 3, 4 in the morning sometimes, and I'm exhausted. But his story is just mind blowing to me. It's you read it and you see his interviews. I have read interviews that he's done with other people, and you just cannot believe that this child picked himself up and kept going. And what saved him was music. And he said he was able to play music at the age of 4. He could play music without even reading music. And then he actually got involved as an adult gay performer. So in the adult industry,
wow.
Even though he said he wasn't gay, he said that's what saved him from financially not, so.
Yeah.
And then he said when they released him, when he was emancipated at the age of 17, so put out on the streets from that boys' home, right in the middle of the AIDS pandemic, which nobody knew what AIDS was at the time or what, and he said he watched, 18, I think he said 30 of his hustler friends died,
wow,
around him in his arms, and nobody knew what was going on. So it's an amazing, crazy story.
It just goes to show you how strong people can be if they choose to. And not let something like that define them or label them to be something that they really are not.
Exactly.
They were circumstance of their situation. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Can we get a round of applause today? Woo! Today I'm excited to announce MANSCAPED launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. And let me tell you something. Oh, it smells so good. My man wears this every day. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe. MANSCAPED is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust MANSCAPED by going to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy. So talk to us about being a sexologist. What do you do with that?
So what I did is when I was doing my lifestyle events, I noticed that a lot of times I was spent talking to a couple about issues that they were having, concerns, problems, either things that they were facing in the lifestyle that were not going the way that they were hoping for. And my publisher, actually, who helped me when I published my book, she would come to my events and she would say to me, "You spend half your life helping these people as a counselor and not being the hostess for the event." And so I was like, yeah, you're right. So she says, you need to start saying to people, listen, I'm happy to help you. Let's set up a consultation online. So that's how I got into lifestyle coaching. And then from there, because I'm not a psychologist. I don't have the PhD or anything. I wanted to go and get more of an education to understand not just the lifestyle, but I started working for Dr. Susie for the Susan Block Institute as a chat agent for her. And we'll have people that will call in and they just want to talk to us about something that nobody else can talk. They can't talk to anybody else about it because they're going to get some kind of judgment. And a lot of times they would call in and they would tell me their fetish or their kink. And I was like, okay. And I would, call Dr. Susie and say, all right, so help me with this one, because this was an interesting one. And so that's why I decided to go and get my certification as a master sexologist so I could really get down to the bottom of some of these kinks and fantasies and fetishes. So
that has to be interesting with some of your clients.
Really interesting. And I want to learn more. I love to learn. I don't judge. I want to get to the bottom of where did that come from? Like the foot fetish, the foot fetish, what I've studied about the foot fetish, in my opinion, it's not right. It's not correct yet. Nobody's figured that one out yet, because they're saying that we got foot fetishes because we were little babies on the floor, we were crawling, and people would walk around us bare feet. I call bull. No ways.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
No ways. No.
Yeah, I would. When you figure that out, let me know, because I'd be curious about that.
Yeah, I've got a guy that's willing to come on my podcast to interview, and I said, if anybody wants to come on with a fetish or a kink and wants to explain it, and even doesn't want to show their face, just wants to do audio, that's fine. But he's willing to do both, and he says he's got a completely different reason for where he came from. Also, like the age. Did you realize at the age of 8 you liked feet, or was it at the age of 38 that you liked feet?
Yeah.
And why dirty versus clean? And is it a man versus a woman? And is it high heels? And I think a lot of it comes down to the pampering. The pampering. You feel like you're pampering the woman by like the foot rub or the man. Pet. I mean, I have people at the Exotica shows that'll say like, Coralyn, can I rub your feet for like 10 minutes for $100? And I'm like, yes, you can.
Sure.
My boyfriend at the time. Yeah, he was like, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you doing? And I go, shut up. He's rubbing my feet. Shut up.
Yeah.
let him rub my feet. So, but yeah, there's a lot of different fetishes and stuff. So that's why I did the certification, and I want to do more.
What's the name of your podcast?
Okay. So it was, because a lot of people know, because I was Hanky Panky Podcast, because that was the name of my swingers club. And now my swingers club is High Profile Life. There's a High Profile Lifestyle. And my podcast is High Profile Podcast Life. High Profile Podcast.life. Let's think hanky panky underwear, HANKY, PANKY. Nobody's even heard of them, but apparently they think that my trademark of hanky panky, HANKI, was infringing on their trademark.
Oh boy. All right.
Boy. So that's why I know it's like a tongue twister. I'm like, high profile podcast. So that's what it is.
So I will put those links in the show notes, you guys, to go check out her podcast. And you have a website where people can connect with you and maybe learn more about your life, your community, or
yes.
where they can find your books.
Yeah. So the easiest thing is just to go to thecoralynjewel.com. So that's CoralynJewel.com. So it's thecoralynjewel.com. That takes them to my coaching opportunities that I do, my events, I think it links to my swingers club. If not, they can write me, because I don't need strange people showing up at my swingers events. But sorry, there are some strange ones out there. And then I've got, it also links to my podcast, which is the separate website, which is the High Profile Podcast.life. Sure. And my books there. I have a CBD intimate lubricant that I developed and trademarked. I have a lifestyle swingers game. I make swingers jewelry. So that's my therapy, my jewelry. I'm not wearing any right now, but
pineapple. You got the pineapple.
I have everything. I have like the symbol, the pineapple symbol, and the unicorn, and the swinger, the nationals sign. I don't know. I usually have it up here, but I didn't bring it. I brought my book up with me. That's my book.
Let's see your book. What's the name of it?
It's called When the Ice Melts, the Story of Coralyn Jewel. So again, it goes back to the whole situation of, I was going to go to the Olympics for South Africa, and I got injured at the age of 18. My partner dropped me. And I really, at that point, was just like, I don't know what to do now. Because my whole life was go to college, get a degree in theatrical production, own your own, get to go to the Olympics, own your own Circus du Soleil show, travel the world, done. And now that was gone. And so it's, how did I end up where I am now? Who would have thought?
You've done quite a lot. So what would you say would be one of the benefits for someone that's in a good relationship that might be interested in checking out the lifestyle?
So what I say is that I know we all get into this monotonous situation. You're married for many years. You wait, kids or no kids. You get up, you do the coffee, you do the breakfast, you get the newspaper, whatever it is, and it's like you need some excitement. And so this is a way to add some kind of excitement to your relationship. You don't have to go and have sex with other people. That's what people always think. That's not what it is. Go watch, go learn, go look at a sex swing, go look at the motor bunny or the Sibian and be like, I've never tried one of those. Ask the host to take you to a private room and go try it. Have your partner use the remotes on you. Adjust the levels. Go look at the different toys. Try maybe having another female involved with you. Try a threesome. See if you like it or don't like it. Be watched. Go watch. Whatever it is, because I think it just brings that kind of excitement. And also, like you had said, the travels, the cruises, the hotel takeovers, the vacations, the desire resorts. Those are fun. It's fun. It's themed nights and it's fun. And you meet open-minded people and you can wear what you want, say what you want, and nobody's going to tell you that you look like a whore.
Yeah, so. That's true. Trapeze is like an awesome experience. Like that's probably one of my favorite ones is because it's just like it's set up like a club. You go in there, you have a great time, you dance and you meet some great people. They've got food and then they
Food is
have
amazing.
yeah, and then they got it set up so nice where you can go back, you can go, you got to change and go and like just walk around and watch and see all the different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of fun.
And all of them are different, because for that was I went my first time with trapeze was last year. I went to the Exotica show and then we went there,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was very different for me as a club hostess, and the fact that I've been to so many different places. I was like, you have to get undressed and then you put your stuff in your locker and then you go in. And I didn't have shoes. I kind of regretted not having shoes. My girlfriend, I was like, wait, how come you got to wear your shoes? She says, I told them I'm wearing my shoes, but I'm looking around going, where's the trash cans for the condoms? And like, I don't see trash cans. And my friend's going, are we going to play or not? And I go, well, I'm not going to play because I think all the condoms are hidden underneath the mattresses. And he's like, oh, come on, you're looking at this as a host. And I go, yes, I am, but that's a different, but I loved the outside, the dancing and the food. And then, it was odd though. Anytime you wanted to go back in, you had to find your locker attendant to unlock your locker for you. And I could never find my attendant. And so, there was pluses and minuses to that one, but they're all different. You got to figure out what you like.
What can someone expect going to your club?
I always tell people the best way to visualize my club is I am a wedding with the opportunity to go and play if you want to. I will bring in stand-up comedians. I will bring in drag shows. I will bring in fire spinners, eaters, fire eating, sword swallowing, burlesque shows. I've brought in, I bring in entertainment. I cater everything. So everything is catered with a cater. I have DJ. I have staff that go, my staff is going, we have a no lock door policy. You can close the door. That means privacy. But if my staff knocks and says staff checking sheets or whatever, my staff's allowed to go in. We make sure sheets, towels, condoms, lubes are always stocked, trash cans emptied, bathrooms. So my staff's constantly doing rounds. I have security team. I've never had an issue. I've had, I think, one or two with the single males. My females, my women, they think that they rule this lifestyle, so therefore they can grab and touch and do what they want. So those have been my issues more than anything.
Wow.
And yes, I mean, I have, so my events are very, I'll do themes or no themes. I don't force you to do themes. There's no force to be naked at a certain time or, play starts at this time. There are some clubs out in like not Las Vegas. You can't play till midnight. I'm like, how are you going to define when I'm horny? I'm exhausted by midnight, so,
Yeah, right.
so I
That's
make it,
fair.
you don't have to picture submit. You're not based on your looks or anything because I know that everybody's got a different cup of tea. I do have you set up a profile. Your profile has to be complete. You have to have a phone number and email and I do allow single males and single females. So.
Oh, wow. All right. Very cool. Well, this has been great talking to you and learning.
Thank you for having me.
Story and what you do. I love it. I'm a fan, so I'm going to be tuning into your show. And you guys, I'm definitely going to put all those links there. So go check Coralyn out and go listen to her. And if you are in the California area and you're interested in checking out one of her events, don't hesitate to reach out to her and let her know. And so this is a part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom and advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
So the advice I always tell people is that we've heard of this so many times. It's called the I shoulda, woulda, coulda syndrome. I should have left that relationship sooner. Or I stayed for the kids, or I should have left that job sooner. And now I'm, 65 years old and I'm starting all over again. And so I say, don't be one of those victims of the I shoulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda syndrome. Okay. Yeah. Live your life for you. Be you. Do what makes you happy. Stop trying to live your life to impress your parents or what others expect of you because you only have one life to live. And so live it your way. That's my advice.
I love it. Perfect advice. On that note, you guys, thank you, Coralyn, for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.